What's up guys, Couscous here with a deck profile on Soul Striker, one of the decks that I've been having a lot of success with. I wanted to share it with you guys and see what you guys think about it. I think it's one of the best decks going into the format, so let's go right into it. So first of all, Soul Striker, it's a reboot leader that we all know, we were very familiar with. One of the first leaders to come out. It says when this card attacks, choose one, draw one card, or switch up to one of your mono blue energies to active mode. And it's awakened condition, which is very critical and one of the reasons why it's so good now. When your life is at 4 or less, or you have a blue unison card with a specified cost of 3 in play, you may draw 2 cards and flip this card over. And the awakened side says when this card attacks, draw one card, then switch up to 2 of your mono blue energies to active mode. At the end of your turn, choose up to one of your blue unison cards and switch it to active mode. So this leader was not so good previously before set 11, but once set 11 came out, they came out with one card that just took this deck over the top, and that is the Baby Unison. The Baby Unison is a 3-cost unison, so it triggers Soul Striker's awakened condition. And on top of that, its +2 markers is to draw your 1 card. So Baby Unison, you play him on 3, you awaken with your leader, guaranteed on turn 3, and you draw not only with your Baby Unison, but also with your Soul Striker awaken condition to draw 2 cards. And then when you swing with Soul Striker, you draw another card, and then you untap 2 energy as well. So this deck has probably the best turn 3 awaken play out of anything I've seen in this game. You play the Unison for 3, awaken, draw 2, unison draws you 1, swing, draw 1, untap 2 energy. The amount of value you get off this combo is insane. So your Mulligan strategies for this deck is to make sure you could pull that off, and so you want to get your Baby Unison right away. And on top of that, you want a Trunks Heroic Prospect, because when you awaken on turn 3 with your Unison and you swing untap 2, you have 2 energy to play a negate, and usually Trunks Heroic Prospect is a great negate to play on turn 3, stopping many of the powerful battle cards that are out there that come out really early games, such as Gotenks. So moving along, the core blue support, standard, Dimension Magic, Senzu Bean, and Trunks God Sealing Technique. You have to play these cards if you're playing blue. These are just overall such good cards. You cannot not play these cards. The utility cards, Zamasu's Super Combo, which is great. It works hand in hand with the Goku Hit Supreme Alliance. We've seen this combo be used a lot throughout set 10, and it's continuing on to set 11. You could go early aggro with this combo. You could play defensive with this combo. It just allows you to do so many things for so little. It's just 1 blue energy, and every time our leader swings, we're untapping blue energy. And so you definitely want to play these cards to give you some utility. On top of that, the Saiyan Instincts works great with this deck. Usually your turn 1 and your turn 2 plays, you do nothing. So turn 2, it's great to play Saiyan Instincts defensively or offensively and just tap 2 energy to draw 2 cards, get that hand advantage going, because on top of your leader drawing 2 for awakening, you're just going to have a massive hand. Another utility card, which is Meki Orb. It's been an interesting card for me, and I've been loving it because once again on turn 3, when we have that 2 active energy, you could play Meki Orb and negate an attack to protect your Unison and untap 1 energy, so you still have energy open for a Dimension Magic, and it's just another 15k body on board. On top of that, we've seen Obuni being such a good card, and it's considered to be like the Blue's boss card, right? But I think we're having a shift in the format where it's not going to be that case. Obuni is now just a utility card, in my opinion. It's just a 20k body that comes out with 3 other 15k bodies. It's not a reliable way to close the game anymore, especially with all these cards that come out that kill tokens so easily. Dormant Potential being one of them, the Trunks counterplay being another. So I think Obuni is in this strange spot right now where it's just a card that you might play to give you some value, but not really heavily depend on. So the main strategy of this deck and how it works is you're awakening on your turn 3 by playing the Baby Unison and drawing a massive hand. And then you want to protect your Baby Unison with all the markers that it has so that you could use the -5 ability. On turn 3, if you play Baby and you get up to 5 markers naturally, and then you play Trunks Heroic Prospect to negate their leader's swing and then hopefully stop their battle cards from attacking, or you play another D-Magic or Meki Orb to protect them, and you're going to have 5 markers fairly easy on the Baby Unison. So then going into your turn 4, you're going to be able to do the -5 to give your leader double strike and 15k power, And on top of that, you're going to be able to play the Baby Golden Avenger for free. And Baby Golden Avenger is kind of what makes the deck really work, because it's one of the only counters in the game that's so easily played. You play it for free once you do the -5 effect on the Baby Unison. And getting a triple striker body on board that's 30k, and it lets you draw a card and bottom deck something on their opponent's side of the field, you're just getting tons of value, and it's just a really good way to close the game with the Baby Unison. So your main strategy is going to be focused on making sure your baby gets a bunch of markers, and you do your -5 effect on a turn where you know you're going to end the game. And the way we're going to end the game is with UI package. I know it's a package we haven't seen, and it's very little in comparison to other packages. It's only a 2-2 split, but I've been having a lot of success with it. Path to Infinite comes into play by paying 1 blue energy and returning a 4-drop battle card from your side of the field back to your hand. So the 4-drop battle cards that we have are Obunis, our Goku hits, and they come out very efficiently. So it's very easy to play Path of Infinite by returning one of those cards back to your hand. And then on top of Path of Infinite, you play Ultra Instinct Goku, and then you untap 2 with your leader. So as far as energy goes, you have no problem investing the energy into this game-ending play. But you do have to be careful of the counterplays available to your opponent. If they have a Frieza counterplay that could be activated, or they have a Trunks counterplay that could be activated, you probably don't want to go for this play. It's probably easier to do it against the Trunks, because if they send the EX Evolve back to your hand, you could just probably EX Evolve on top again. But definitely want to be careful against green and possibly not go for it. But against anything else, it's very, very powerful. It wipes the board on your opponent's side of the field, so you get rid of any blockers that might cause you harm, or any type of battle cards that are going to cause you harm. Maybe they're going to go into Cell Xeno and whatnot. It's just so good. In combination with the Baby Ape, it lets you end games. You go into Ultra Instinct Goku, and its effect says that when he enters battle, your opponent cannot combo. So when you swing with them and your opponent activates a negate, and you play the counter ape, now that is a guaranteed 3 damage going into your opponent. And on top of that, you just got another 30k triple striker on board. So I've been having a lot of success with this. The amount of times I play UI Goku may not be that high, but the amount of times that we play Golden Ape and end the game is pretty consistent. And on top of that, another game-ending bomb is the Baby Hatch. At first sight, you might read it and say, this is not a game ender, you know, it's just a negate and they can't attack anymore. But it's a pseudo way to end the game. When you play Baby Hatch, you are stopping your opponent's turn and saying, it's my turn. And when you say that, you basically get an extra turn from your previous turn. So you could set up plays. It's one of the few cards, if not the only card, that lets you set up for a turn in advance very easily. So I could play Path to Infinite and then just pass. And whatever my opponent does, I just play Baby Hatch, negate the attacks and all their attacks incoming, so I guarantee my survival for next turn. And then now I have a fresh, 5-6 energy, and then go off that turn. So Baby Hatch is definitely a game ender, and I think it's one of the most powerful secret rares that have been printed. The flex spots for this deck that kind of move along with this deck and synergize are all kind of personal attacks that I personally like, but you do not have to play these cards. I like Max Power Kamehameha because blue struggles with removal. When your opponent plays an early boss card such as Grim Reaper, Gotenks the Grim Reaper, or the Brawly Unisons, it's really tough to get rid of those cards. So I like Max Power Kamehameha because not only it's a negate that helps you weather the storm on early game pressure, but it's also board removal as well. On top of that, Murichim the Brave Bruiser. This is such a niche random card that I found, but I really like it against green decks in particular. Green decks play the Frieza counterplay that kills a battle card when you put it in play, but they don't affect cards that have barrier, and this guy does have barrier. On top of that, he has double strike, and his activate main says once per turn your opponent reveals the top card of the deck. If it's a battle card, it gets 5k power and dual attack. So this guy is like an Obuni, but instead of going wide, he's going tall with two single 25k double strike attacks. So in my opinion, it's much more explosive than Obuni, and it is protected against the green dormant potential. So now we have Obuni and Murichim. So if I'm playing against green decks, I play Murichim. If I'm playing against blue decks, I play Obuni, which has deflect. So you kind of pick and choose which 4-drop card to play based on your opponent's deck. But you can imagine though how powerful it is if you play Murichim, you get the dual attack double strike combo, and your baby Unison -5 was live. So you're swinging 25k double strike, 25k double strike, leader 30k double strike, and if they negate any one of those attacks, you play a 30k triple strike and you negated the attack. It's just so much pressure that you eventually gain all the value and kill your opponent. The Gogeta flex spot there was just to have an extra Unison in case I miss my baby Unison for my turn 3 awaken. The Champa is an extra way to close out the games in case I need to squeeze in 2 more damage. And the overwhelm choices, Secret Identity Mask Stain is great against skillless Goku or any type of deck that plays a lot of 1-drop, 2-drops, you know, any type of rogue deck. It's just more board removal, which is something that blue lacks. So I really like Secret Identity. And then the Super Saiyan 4 Bardock fighting against Fate is a 25k dual attack 20 overwhelm for free. So we know UI Goku does 3 damage guaranteed, but most people stay at 4 life all the time. So when you overwhelm with this guy and you swing 25k twice, it's very likely that they're gonna go from 4 to 3. And if they don't, you still have a leader swing and a Unison swing, and you're most likely gonna make them go down from 4 to 3. And then once that happens, then you go for the UI combo and just end the game from there. So these are just one-ofs. I personally like them a lot, but you could change them up to fit whatever your local meta is, whatever your style is, and just go from there. So overall, the strengths of this deck is that it generates tons of value. You're playing Saiyan Instincts early. You're drawing 2 from your awakened side. You're drawing from your baby Unison. You're just getting tons of value off every card you play. The Zamasu into Goku hit. On top of that, you have access to a counter, which is something that no other deck has, especially not as efficiently. The counter is a way to just end games easily. The extra energy from your leader swing, it is actually pretty relevant because you could play a Unison, you could swing on tap 2, then play a battle card. You could possibly play 2 Obunis in a turn, or a Obuni and a Muruchin. There's just so much stuff you could do, so your curve is basically never scripted because every game is something different. On top of that, awakening high life early is still a really strong thing to have. A lot of decks now coming out are all awakening at 4 life. You know, we look at Red Brawly, we look at Gotenks awakens kind of at 6, right? But awakening at possibly 7 or 8 life is really good with Soul Striker. You just become this tanky leader that, you know, aggro has to try really hard to finish you off. And then the guaranteed game ender, I like it a lot with the UI Goku and then the Golden Ape, or the Baby Hatch, and then following up with a more aggressive play. You build up a board, Baby Hatch, and then you swing again with that whole board twice. I like the guaranteed ending that this deck gives to me. The weaknesses this deck has is that an early awaken hurts. So if you do play against those early aggro decks, such as Red Brawly, it does hurt you. Vegex still hurts you. You don't do anything for the first 2 turns. And, you know, awakening and drawing 2 is great, but you really get going after turn 3. So if you, for the first 2 turns, do nothing, and then turn 3 you play your Unison, meanwhile, the first 3 turns of an aggro deck, they're just going all in on you. It's really hard to defend against all that. So this deck definitely has a huge weakness against early game aggro decks. Red Brawly gives me a lot of trouble. Vegex gives me somewhat of a trouble, and then Majin Vegeta also gives me a little bit of a trouble. And another weakness is that it is Unison dependent. If you don't see your baby Unison by turn 3, it feels really bad. I mean, you lose such a big power spike. It's really rare because by turn 3 you usually see it drawing with your leader, drawing with Saiyan Instincts, and you're also hard mulliganing for it. But if you don't, it feels really bad, man. The bombs are not reliable. That is true because UI Goku does not have barrier, it does not have deflect, so it's not really a great way to close the game. It's weak to counter plays. On top of that, you might think, okay, you have a big board, you play Baby Hatch, and you can swing again and end the game. But if they have like 2 topos and just 2 turn-ending negates against you, then that also feels bad. So there's no super reliable way to close the game with the bombs. But if you do pull off the ape combo, then that part is guaranteed, and that's really good. The no board removal is also something that I've been struggling to find an answer to. I think that the deck is great in generating tons of value, but it's not great at dealing with what my opponent has in play. So when my opponent plays Grim Reaper Gotenks on me, if they put 2 of them out there, it's really hard for me to deal with it, and I can't find a way to remove it easy. That's why I tech max power Kamehameha in my version. But if you find an efficient way, if blue ever finds an efficient way to play some board removal cards, I think blue will be S tier, that good. But it does have a big weakness against aggro and board removal. So because of that, I give Soul Striker an A-. I think it's one of the top 5 decks for sure going into the format. I think blue is extremely strong, whether it's Baby Vegeta, Super Saiyan 3, or Soul Striker, but it is shaping up to be a triangle meta format where we have your aggro decks, we have the hand destruction / aggro Gotenks deck, and I think blue is probably right behind them, very close and right behind them. So that's been my Soul Striker list. If you enjoyed this deck profile, please support my channel, hit that subscribe button. I stream every day on Tuesday through Friday on Twitch at 7:30 p.m. PST. Come check me out where we play some games and practice and get better at Dragon Ball. So hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.